What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Dio for President back again with another YouTube video for you guys. Yo, I've been gone for a while. I'm not even going to lie to you. But then, like I said in my last video, I just needed a break. Like, I needed to chill. I needed to get my mind right. Needed to, work out and do a bunch of other stuff. And, that's why I took a break. But, like, a break for me is, like, not posting for, like, maybe, like, 5 days or 7 days, you know. So that's a break for me. A break for some other people is, like, not posting for, like, 6 months, which is crazy. But anyways, today we are reacting to chill. Dad bod versus lean muscular physique. What women actually prefer. You guys, be honest, if you're a woman that watches me, do you guys prefer a dad bod or do you guys prefer like a more muscular guy? Like what do you guys prefer? Let me know. And what else do I have to say? Let's get into the video, bro.
Bod, lean bod, or muscular bod. I always find the conversation
In fact, let's hold on.
Around whether women prefer dad bods or bodies that are muscular. Always find it very.
Sorry, you guys. Let me start again.
Dad bod, lean bod, or muscular bod.
So yeah, you guys, like these are the three options, you guys. What do you guys prefer? What do women prefer? Mandem, if you could have a body, which one would you want? Put it down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think.
I always find the conversation around whether women prefer dad bods or bodies that are muscular. Always find it very interesting because no one really talks about the psychology behind it. And I wanted to unpack that. First of all, when women say that they prefer dad bods, what they usually mean is that they like bodies that don't look extreme. They like bodies that don't look intimidating. They like a man who doesn't come off as too self-obsessed.
Interesting.
A man who's not walking around with 6 to 10 or even 15% body fat that looks like he's so obsessed with the gym and he's only obsessed with himself. And the truth is, to most women, a dad bod feels safer to them. It feels non-threatening and it feels very comfortable.
I guess it feels like the guy isn't going to like leave them, Like the odds of a guy like, pulling more when he has a quote unquote dad bod is, in my opinion, slimmer. As someone that has been on both sides of the spectrum, because I've been like bigger, right now I'm cutting, so like I'm trying to get lean for the summer. Like I do feel like, even now, like, people call me handsome. I'm not even going to lie. Ever since I started cutting, it's been like 2 months now. I probably get complimented almost every single day. Versus when I was a bit bigger, people would look at me and they would get the ick. So, do with that information what you will, bro.
For me personally, and why I think that a lot of women prefer dad bods is because we have to look at the average woman, right? The average woman is not shredded. She doesn't go to the gym. The average woman is not lifting weights.
The average person doesn't go to the gym. The average person isn't lifting weights.
Average woman doesn't have visible abs. She doesn't have sculpted legs, sculpted glutes. So she's not in shape. So when that average woman who sees a man who also looks average, there's an alignment. There's no pressure. There's no subconscious comparison happening. So she doesn't feel outshined.
But at the same time, I will say that, like, the average woman is not going for the average man. If the average woman was going for the average man, we would not be in a dating epidemic right now. The dating pool would not be that ass. And there's a bunch of other reasons why the dating pool is ass. But then it would be easier if women went for the average guys. Like, they don't, And yes, I know that we hear this all the time on the internet, but like, as someone, like, fuck the fact that I'm talking to you guys through a screen. You actually have to be very exceptional in different things before you even get any play from any woman, bro. And I feel like a lot of guys don't understand that. Like, a lot of guys will slack on their diets. A lot of guys will not work out, will not try and become a better person. Even if you're not doing it for women, do it for yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror and be proud. But like, a lot of guys, bro, are not on that tip.
by this person. And that factor is what matters a lot more than most people would think.
Individuals who have partners who are more attractive, if they're men or women, they experience more jealousy. So it could be that if someone is more conventionally attractive, they're going to be getting more attention. Perhaps it evokes more jealousy. They're going to be afraid, like you said, of mate poaching. They're going to be afraid, okay, this person might cheat.
I absolutely agree with this. When someone looks significantly more attractive than you, there's always a psychological shift. If, say, you're a 5 out of 10 woman dating a 9 out of 10 looking man, whether you want to admit it or not, there's always going to be a jealousy factor. And women are going to be looking at him a lot more. He's going to be getting a lot more attention. Other women are going to find him attractive. Women might even approach him.
But at the same time, let's not act as if like a 5 out of 10 woman is getting approached. Like guys will fuck and sleep with almost anything and anybody. Most guys the odds like a 9 out of 10 guy, looks wise, like on this imaginary scale that we all have, a 9 out of 10 guy can get with a 5 out of 10 woman, no problem. But a 9 out of 10 woman getting with a 5 out of 10 man, ah, impossible.
You're always going to constantly feel as if you're competing against the world. And that dynamic can be very stressful. And it doesn't just apply for women, this also applies in reverse. So when there is a noticeable attractive imbalance on either side, insecurities can creep in, and that is literally just human nature.
Really?
Now let's flip it. Do fit men get more attention? And the answer is absolutely. When you're lean, muscular, and just
You guys, she said it. This beautiful black queen said it. So, we only have a couple of months till summer. If you haven't started cutting already, it might already be too late for you. But the best time to start is now. Like, if you haven't been going to the gym and you haven't been doing whatever it is that you need to do, wake up from your dream. Wake up from your dream and go to the gym. This has like this is for men and women that watch me, on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Like, if you watch me anywhere, like, take my advice and go and start pushing some weights and do your cardio. Don't be lazy.
Visibly disciplined, people are going to notice. And the reason is because fit people aren't just their physique. It's not just what you see physically. They embody so many other unseen qualities and traits and characteristics that are attractive. For example, like I said, discipline, then tolerance for discomfort for long-term gain and long-term benefits. So it shows that you have a sense of delayed gratification. Also reliability. You show up to something, you commit to something. It also shows dedication, and they show self-respect. So you command more presence. So when you do walk into a room and you have a visibly well-built body, naturally people are going to be gravitated towards you. They're going to look at you most times in awe. So having a fit body signals effort, status, and self-control. So it suggests that you take care of yourself and you're not into short-term gratification like typically the average person would be. And that is what most people find attractive.
I think the hardest thing during my cuts that I have had to do is cut out alcohol. I feel like something like it really does feel like very isolating, because on the weekends, like, okay, like maybe I don't go out, I stay at home, I don't eat out as much, I cook almost every single meal, like I don't be eating out. And because of that, I feel like, right now I only have two very close friends that I hang out with on a regular basis. And sometimes I'm like, bro, like, sure, like it's cool, it's inspiring, but like the truth of the matter is, like, if people knew how I lived my life, they wouldn't want to be my friend, because they would be like, who does this guy think he is? He's doing too much, blah, blah, blah. But like, truth be told, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. When you're not on your shit and when you're on your shit, people treat you oh my God, bro. When you're winning and when you're on your shit, the way people treat you versus when you're not on your shit and when you're, screwing around and just, doing what's up, like, the difference is night and day. So like, yeah.
And the reason why somebody who's really, really fit gets this type of attention is because people understand this, and the average person typically does not possess these qualities. So they see it as aspirational or something that they will probably never attain. And now back to the average woman, she also understands this, and they can be intimidated by it because them being with such a person will require them to step up. When it comes to the type of body that a woman would fantasize about in a man, it's always ripped, shredded. He has six pack, he has abs, right? That type of body is what turns heads. It creates excitement.
That's true.
But when it comes to long-term relationships, women,
And like I'll say this, like for the people that think that like being fit is not important, it's like, why do you think in all these movies like they get the fittest guy possible to play some of the lead roles or like the superhero role, because it's rare and it's respectable. If those things did not matter, then you know they wouldn't be guessing these fit guys to play those big roles in Hollywood. You feel me?
tend to lean more towards comfort, way more than what they would fantasize about. So a man who has a dad bod might not seem very exciting, but that type of body feels very stable to a lot of women. It feels attainable. It doesn't really challenge them. It doesn't feel like constant competition, and it doesn't make them question whether they measure up. And it doesn't put pressure on them to be perfect and to get themselves together if their partner simply looks average. And this doesn't mean that women don't like muscular men. Now, for me, if somebody were to walk up to me with a microphone and ask me, do I prefer a muscular body or a dad bod? 100%, I prefer a guy with a muscular build. I prefer a gym guy, an athletic guy, somebody who looks like they train and that they take care of themselves and they're intentional about that. As a gym girl, I personally cannot be with somebody who doesn't take fitness seriously. I can't be with an occasional gym goer.
You guys, I will say that like my last relationship, let me tell you why it didn't work. My last relationship did not work because I overlooked the fact that this babe was not going to the gym, and at the time she didn't really care about like nutrition and things like that, and the biggest thing was at the time, I don't know what she's doing with her life now, like that's whatever. But at the time she wasn't willing to learn. She wasn't willing to grow. So that just caused a lot of friction. And ever since then, like I just told myself that yeah, like I will never date someone that doesn't go to the gym again. Like if you don't work out, then there's no point of us being together because you're going to see me like saying things like I don't eat rice, I don't eat ice cream, I don't eat pizza, I don't eat like snacks, like I fast. And you're going to feel bad about yourself because you don't do those things. And the truth of the matter is, I think that everyone has a right to live their life the way they want to live their life. Like if you want to do all of that, then cool. But I don't want to do that. So there's already like an imbalance, a friction, and truth of the matter is a lot of like when you actually start working out seriously, like I'm not talking about like that bullshit that you go 3 times a week and you're still drinking alcohol on the weekends and you're still like eating whatever, you're not tracking your calories. Like when you actually start doing everything that they say that you should do, you're not going to be able to date a lot of people. Like you're just going to be there, from what I've seen, because a lot of people are not going to do some of the things that you do, and when they see you doing it, they're going to be like you're doing too much, like this is too much. But at the same time, like, and this is no disrespect to them, they're just not as disciplined and they don't want it as bad as you do. So you're just going to be single.
Somebody who doesn't care if they haven't been to the gym in 3 months. I can't. Okay, because lifestyle compatibility is very important to me, just like every other thing. So I'm not even saying that women don't like muscular men. Not at all. I think it all depends on what type of man you're trying to attract. But that's just me, okay? And I'm so happy that when I watched this video and I went into the comments, somebody else commented this. And I was like, yes, Completely agree. And typically, most women who are really into fitness would prefer being with another guy who's really into fitness because we understand the lifestyle. We are on the same page when it comes to the discipline and the consistency and, the importance of just taking care of your health. And we want to be with partners who are going to also motivate us. So that's an important component for us. And I'm not just pulling words out of my ass because I did go through the comments and some men were kind of saying some of the things that I had already deduced. Someone commented, my wife always gets mad at me for losing my developing dad bod because it makes her look bad. The thing is, I'm not doing it for myself and I'm definitely not doing it to make her look bad. Around the pandemic, I made a decision to be the healthiest I can be, even if that means a boring diet with no snacking. I'm in my mid 40s and want to be around as long as possible for my daughter. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like when your partner is more fit, they look or they begin to start looking a little better than you, there's always going to be that competition factor.
Like I said, bro. Like I said, that's why like me personally, like if you don't work out, I can't. We have no business being together. We have no business being like, unfortunately, like, I used to, when I used to be Mr. Nice Guy and all of that, I used to be like, you know what, yeah, like, we can make it work, blah 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 blah. But like, truth be told, like, if you're not on that grind, you are going to look at me like I'm weird. Like, you know, me, I'm a man of like I don't discriminate. Like I can look at a woman and be like, wow, you're attractive, Like even if she's plus size, there's a lot of beautiful plus size women, 100%. However, though, if like man is like if you just see the way I live my life and the way I eat, particularly, a plus size woman that doesn't necessarily want to change, she's not going to like me, bro. Like she's going to look at me and be like, you don't eat enough, and I'm going to be like, what can I say?
There's always going to be that psychology of this person is going to make me look bad. Okay, I need to step my game up. I need to match my partner. And it is just what it is. Also, I think the reason why a lot of women would prefer a dad bod is because it doesn't look like it's going to hurt them. You know what I mean? Like people are scared. Like you see like a bodybuilder, for example, and you're like, oh my goodness, this guy is going to kill me. Like if I ever get into a fight with this person, he's going to pick me up and throw me through the glass window. So there's always that factor of like, they want somebody who looks soft. You know what I mean? And the same thing goes for men as well. Some men, like I said, I've said this many times, a lot of guys would simply not find me attractive simply off the fact that I lift weights and I have muscle definition.
That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. I don't care what anybody says, bro. It's biological. When you see someone with a slim waist, as a guy, like slim waist, big behind, fine face, everything looking good, you are going to be attracted to that person. I do not care what you say, bro. Are you going to be intimidated? If you're not on your grind, yes, you will be. But if you're working out, then yeah.
Men have commented on my posts, oh, they can't be with a woman who has more muscle than them, who has more visible muscle mass than they do. They want a woman who looks soft, who still has a bit of fat that they can, squeeze and hold. So people always have this mentality that if you have more defined lean muscle, that you're very strong and, you would beat them, you would hurt them, that you would be.
I think that it's a mix, bro. Like me personally, like I said, bro, I find for me, I'm more of like a face kind of person over body. Like body is definitely like important. Like don't be like, too overweight. Like no. But for me, face is like the most important thing. So like you don't necessarily have to be like the leanest, most muscular, strongest woman. No, But I'm not saying that I'm going to accept, the biggest, person out there, like the biggest back person. No, because that's not who I am. You feel me?
Capable of physically overtaking them. And that is the psychology behind people choosing, partners based off of like body types and your physical traits. So yeah, and in the comments of this video, somebody else said, I think you have to take into account whether or not the woman is athletic herself. I am a woman who has always been into health and fitness pursuits, been a personal trainer most of my life. I can honestly tell you, I would never prefer a dad bod to a lean male. And many of my female colleagues feel the same thing. It's a shared interest thing. 100%, I completely agree. It's all based off of shared interest. And that's why it's important to be with somebody whose lifestyle is compatible to yours. So if you're not somebody who is interested in fitness, you don't go to the gym at all, you look like you don't go to the gym, and then you want to be with somebody who is a fitness head.
Yeah, like, and in my last relationship, like, I will say that, like, I take the blame. Like, I take the blame for, like, the whole thing. Like, from the start, we went on a date, and the first date she told me, yo, I don't be working out. I don't. She said it, and I still decided to continue the relationship. And towards, like, the middle and the end, there was a lot of friction. Like, there was so much friction, it was crazy. So, like, yeah, bro, like, I take responsibility for that. So I'm not even going to lie, like, yeah.
Maybe that relationship could work. I personally cannot see that happening.
It made me, and I will even say that, like, when, like, I don't recommend dating someone that doesn't work out if you work out, because you're going to cheat, bro. You're going to seek out someone that works out. You're going to seek out someone that works out. My relationship ended because she wasn't working out. I was frustrated by that, and on my phone there was someone that would always text me, oh my god, Dari, I want to start working out, I want to work out, blah 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 blah, and I would entertain the conversation, and I would text her back. And then one day she went through my phone, she saw it, and she was like, this is cheating, blah 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 blah, and that's how the relationship ended. And I'm like, Fez, Fez.
Happening unless you're just.
Am I proud of it? No, I'm not proud of it. I'm not saying that it's good. Definitely not good. But then, that was just me not being honest with myself. It was me not being, like, truth be told, once she said, oh, yeah, I don't work out, I should have been like, okay, yeah, it was a good date. We had a good time. But then, that's what happens when you enter relationships when, like, you don't know yourself well. You feel me?
Kind of like a passive person and you don't really care if your partner goes to the gym or not. Another girl in the comments of this video said, I'd never sleep with a guy with a dad bod. Ooh. I work out a lot and I want someone who shows the same commitment to their body and health. Also, seeing muscular men makes my day better. So yeah, I think that's basically a general idea of what I'm saying. Honestly, it just comes down to personal preference at the end of the day. And this basically just wraps up everything that I said. When it comes down to fitness girls, they would typically go for other guys who are also well into fitness. But then again, there are fitness girls who would choose a guy that has a dad bod, and vice versa. There are guys who are gym freaks, but they prefer their girl being a little more quote unquote softer. They don't want to date another gym freak.
Yeah, like, if I'm being honest, yeah, I don't think, like, I'm actually not picky. Let me not even lie. Like, I think bodies don't really matter. Just don't be, like, overweight to the point it's like, how do I put it? There's like being plus size sexy, and being plus size. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Know what I mean? They want to date a girl who looks like she trains, but she's not too muscular.
Even with guys, bro, like, there's plus size where it's like, okay, like, you have some muscle on you, you don't have visible abs, but then you look athletic. And there's plus size where it's like, yo, like, like, this is concerning. You feel me?
Because they feel like they don't want to date their quote unquote fellow guy. Somebody actually said this. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, it all just comes down to personal preference. And like I said, what you're looking for in a partner. And that brings me to saying that I think most men are asking the wrong question. It's not, do women prefer dad bods or abs? It should be more of the conversation of what type of woman are you trying to attract? Because, like I said, different women are attracted to completely different things based off of their personal preference. And a lot of the attraction that women have when it comes to men has to do with their confidence, their lifestyle, and also what they value. So, a woman who's hitting the gym 5-6 days a week, she trains seriously, she's most likely not fantasizing about a soft looking guy. She wants a man that can match her energy. And a woman who doesn't really care that much about fitness, she doesn't really care if you have a six pack or if you have shredded abs or broad shoulders and a tight chest. And some women genuinely don't want a man who draws too much attention.
That's true.
And the same thing can go for a guy. I know guys who don't like dating really pretty women because they feel like they're always going to be competing with another man. Not because
That's definitely true. That's definitely true. Me personally, right now, like a lot of my female friends are very, 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 very beautiful women. I can't imagine, like, you know, bro, when I see some of the messages that they get, I'm like, I'm like, damn, that is insane, you know? The kinds of messages and the amount of messages, it's insane, you guys.
they're not into attractive women, or not because the woman does not like attractive men in this case, but because, like I said, they don't want to constantly feel as if they're competing with everybody else. But all of this is just my opinion.
Hey, you guys, I guess that's the end of, what she's saying, Yo, what do you guys think about that video? What do you guys think about this video? What do you guys think? Let me know your preferences in the comment section. And yeah, I'm coming through.